What's up, everyone? This is your host, Ghost, coming to you live with another wonderful video. Actually, strike that. Not a wonderful video, very sad video. Um, yeah, I'm going to talk about the Rekieta arrest. This happened yesterday. There's even some more information that has come out, and although I don't want to believe it, I do, and I'll explain why later. But yeah, this is just a very terrible day. Um, Nick is the reason I started streaming in the first place. I saw his streams during Rittenhouse, and watching continuously, and Don, gave me the idea of actually starting my own stream. I actually was hoping to have him on the show one day, my show in particular, and maybe talk to him about fatherhood and stuff because he has 5 kids, which makes this even more tragic. I was having trouble sleeping last night, which is why I'm late, far later than I normally am. But yeah, I'm very upset about this news. I'm heartbroken, but most of all, I'm really angry at this guy for doing such stupid shit. Um, and I've great concern for his kids. Thankfully, they're safe now, because clearly they weren't at the moment during all this chaos that was going on. So, yeah, let's just get into it. Hopefully, I won't have to harp too much on it. I'll say my piece about it, and I'll probably continue giving updates whenever they're around. Um, but yeah, this is just ridiculous. So, first, some housekeeping, of course. Follow me on X at official W Ghost. It's the best way to find out when I go live. And you can also watch me live if you choose to. Follow me on Rumble, rumble.com/withghost. Rumble is the main channel. So check out that one. YouTube is youtube.com/@withghost. Twitch is twitch.tv/officialwithghost. So those are my various channels. My gaming channel on Rumble is Gaming with Ghost, and on YouTube is Official Gaming with Ghost. I know I haven't been streaming there lately. I've been dealing with some other things, and I've been really desired to go game. And I've been spending some time with my wife. It's always important. So there we go. So we got that out of the way. So yeah, let's see. So yesterday came out. I didn't believe it initially. It wasn't until actually let's see, that umbrella guy, Tug, and Megan Fox, both basically were talking about it, that I actually ended up believing it. I thought it was some bullshit thing. I thought even potentially, if anything, if this was happening, it was just big old misunderstanding and everything. But it's been a real serious thing, and it's really ridiculous. You ever watch Rekieta? He had a great show. You could watch him, learn some stuff about law, get some lawyer perspective. It was really great to watch. Um, and God, I'm sorry, I'm just really upset about this and angry. And I'll get into why I'm angry later. But I watched, like I said before, I started watching him after during the Rittenhouse trial. It was hilarious, funny. I watched several of his other trials; they were great. And I don't remember when, but not too long ago, I started like fading away from actually watching his shows because they ended up just turning to like a bunch of rambling. And I just thought it was more like he's just got some ADD or some shit like that. I didn't really think of it as drug related. I don't know how long his drug use has been going on. Of course, I don't have that insight. His friends have been, his friends on YouTube world have been, reaching out, trying to help him. If you watched Tug and Megan Fox's stream yesterday, you can really tell that they were they've been, they know about this for a while, and they were trying their best to help Nick, and he just didn't want help at all. Um, Hold on, and I'll link that one in my description later. I recommend you watching it because you really see, you can hear downright like heart. Maybe some people were like, well, it was so, they were so concerned. Why didn't they say anything about it? Blah 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 blah. It's like, well, they're look. I don't understand why people don't understand that if you're friends with someone, you handle shit like this privately with um among your friends. You don't just blast it on your internet for content. I think people think that everything's about content, so therefore they need that that we need to know everything that's going on in people's lives, and that's just not true. I'm going to link that show. It's in the beginning. They'll shortly change this a different. They'll change it to a different topic. If you want to watch that, go ahead. But there we go. All right, so I just updated my thing. It's in my link in my YouTube. I'll get it on Rumble here in a bit. Um, so yeah, that's what basically has happened. Um, God damn, it's just really tragic. But I feel more terrible for his kids to have his, they have their parents, a couple of druggies, just oh man, like how hard was that to have to deal with as a kid? Hold on, now I'm getting in the description of the Rumble one. All right, there we go. So we should be all set. Got everything else situated. There we go. All right. So let's just pop some stuff out. Station. There we go. All right. So these are this is from straight from the King, not King. What is it called? Uh, the I don't know how to say that word. Whatever. The Canadian Yeongi, whatever county jail. Let's see. So this is as of 7:49. Boom. So there we go. So this is obviously Nick Rekieta. It goes Rekieta, Nicholas, Robert. That's him. And I will laugh say about his photo. He looks so like exhausted, like so pissed off. Like this is bullshit. It is kind of funny, not gonna lie. His picture's just like, really, really, bro, really. So you gotta have a little humor in all this. Anyways, so they were arrested on 5/23/2024 at 10:08. Nick was, and it's still pending. He hasn't, got seen a judge apparently or gotten bail or anything. And it's for drugs, fifth degree possession, schedule 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I was listening to Megan's channel, or not Megan's channel, but Megan's stream with that umbrella guy. And this may sound, what this may look like is he had a bunch of Schedule One. He was in possession of Schedule 1, 2, 3, and 4. Very drugs that are scheduled to on various degrees or various scheduling. Um, like one's like the worst, and then four is the least worst kind of deal. But I was listening to Megan Fox, or Tug's stream with Megan Fox. Megan Fox was saying that a law enforcement officer reached out to her and say that he doesn't necessarily mean he had all these drugs. It just means he had maybe a couple pills in one of them, and they just charge it, and that's just how it's charged. So he could just have a bunch of like Schedule 4 drugs and get charged with that, but it's just listed out as one, two, three, and four. So it doesn't like boom, it's just they just had Schedule 4 drugs, or boom, they just had Schedule 1 drugs, etc. Um, that's what it. So it could be a little confusing when you look at it, but that's how it apparently goes. Um, I'm sure people are wondering what the schedules are. The scheduled drugs are go like I said from 1 to 5. So Schedule 1 is most potential, or let's bring it up. So Schedule 1 is most potential for abuse and dependence, no medical quantities: heroin, LSD, marijuana, ecstasy, peyote. Schedule 2, high potent for abuse and dependence, some medical qualities: Vicodin, cocaine, meth, oxycodone, Adderall. Schedule 3, moderate potential for abuse slash dependence, acceptable medicinal quantities, doctor's prescription required. Tylenol with codeine, ketamine, steroids, testosterone. Schedule 4, low potential for abuse and dependence, acceptable medical quantities, prescription required, fewer refill regulations: Xanax, Darvo, Valium, Ativan, Ambien, Tramadol. And then Schedule 5 is, well, that's as far as it goes. So one, two, three, four, five. That's what's on his document. Right. Oh, it's yes. So, what the document may look like is he adds, like, say, heroin, Vicodin, ketamine, and Xanax all in one, and that's what he's charged with. But what it may seem is like he could have had like a couple pills of Valium, um, and he didn't have his prescription or something on him, um, and he didn't necessarily have all of these, but it would just be listed out as one, two, three, and four. So that's a potential. We don't know, obviously, at the moment. Um, I don't think it necessarily was something like that. I think it might be a little more. We'll get into that in a second. Above him, you'll see another woman, a woman whose name is Rekieta. That's his wife. Uh, Rekieta, Kayla Christine. Um, she was charged with the same thing. She was booked an hour and a half after her, or after Nick, which is kind of weird. We're unsure why. Oh, and the gun charge is just like he had controlled substance. He was in possession of these drugs while he had a firearm. That's all that really means. Like, say if you had marijuana and you had a gun with me, you get a charge like this. Um, so that's all this means. Um, Now, another thing, there's a bunch of rumors about this one. I don't care. I don't got any verified facts about this, but so it's only relevant because she was booked uh, the same time, well, roughly the same time Nick was, a little earlier. But you're like, oh, yeah, I'm sure it could be, and she has the same uh, for the same crime. Now, I'm sure some of you are like, well, that could be just coincidence. Well, unfortunately, it's not. Uh, in April, apparently, She is the Rekieta's live-in nanny. She's also the ex-wife of the host of Steel Toe, whatever. It's a podcast too that Dick was friends with. Apparently, she moved in with them not a little while ago. Um, so yeah, um, yeah. So but yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of rumors about her. I'm not getting to get into the rumors. Okay, I don't care about the rumors. There's proof. But yeah, so there you go. So it is actual truth. Nick did get arrested. These are real. I thought it was fake, and I didn't really believe it until Tug and and Megan Fox talked about it. So all right, here we go. And now this just popped up today. This is so. Here's the full report. Okay, so this is an instant report. This was obtained from by Kiwi Farms. Okay, apparently, allegedly. Short description: I have a mandatory reporting issue I want to speak with an officer about. The mandatory reporting issue I want to speak with an officer about. See file 3310D uh, and literal possible child neglect slash abuse. This is the charging dot. This is an incident report about Rekieta. You can see their names right here. Um, so I don't know how accurate this is, but this is apparently an actual report. Um, like I said, I'm kind of pissed off about this. So there we go. So we got everything, all the information we have right now. I'm sure. Uh, uh, sorry. All right. Sorry, I'm getting distracted here because I'm just seeing there's more updates. Um, so a lot of his friends are posting it on Twitter. They're doing their own statements and stuff. I'm not Nick's friend. I did admire. I did admire him. I'd like to say I still do. I don't at the moment. Hopefully he'll get better and get through this, get better and do better and learn and hopefully this will cause him to reevaluate his decisions and just do better. Um, Now there's a little controversy because Dick Masterson are laughing and making jokes about this, and his co-host Vito are doing it, and people are getting angry about it, saying, "Oh, Nick's allies are not real." Blah blah blah. Except, I don't think Nick would be mad at Dick Masterson for making fun of him. He absolutely should be made fun of. He should be shamed. We should all be shaming him. Now, yes, of course, thoughts and prayers, wishes to getting well. But right now, Nick needs some shaming, and maybe it won't work on him, but he sure as hell needs some. Um, Nick's a little anti-authoritative. It's kind of why I gravitate to him because I am too. Uh, but dude, you're kids. You're fucking everything up, and you're doing a bunch, some drugs and shit. Because Nick's been going on a downward spiral for a while, as his friends have reported repeatedly. They've been trying to reach out and help him. You've had so many people trying to help you, and you're just some ignorant. You're just being ignorant and meat-headed for whatever fucking reason. Uh, well, I fucked up. Uh, and the quartering is reporting who is friends with Nick too. He's gotten some information. Again, I guess I should pull it up. Let's see, there we go. So this is on the According Twitter. So looks like someone reported Rekieta back on the 16th, and he's actually facing multiple felonies. He was reported over concerns for the children could be real, like an actual family member, could be a form of swatting, like calling in a wellness check, worse than expected. Correction, someone did walk into the police station and report Nick. Also important to note, he was reported like a week before his pill stream. Now the pill stream, it happened not that long ago, and he disappeared from his stream for like 45 minutes apparently. Um, where he disappeared for 45 minutes, and then it was starting to be he acted really weird. He was looking haggard, and I thought it was just alcohol. I wasn't paying that much attention to it. Thought, nah, Nick got really, really drunk. That's all. But it wasn't that. It obviously was something more. But he looked really haggard. Let's see, Tug. I wonder because there's a good. Hold on, just seeing if he has that. All right. Well, there was this video that was going around, and it was Rekieta, just 6 months ago or something, looking not too bad, and then his pill stream, where the dude looks gaunt, he's looking haggard, being he was clearly on something. Now that you like going back and looking in, you're like, dude, this guy's clearly was on something. And again, his friends have been trying to help him, trying to reach out. But dude, what are you doing, Nick? Okay, Rekieta, whatever. I'm not your friend. I'll call you Rekieta. You've you're supposed to be the leader of your household, and you just led your wife, and you've harmed your kids for and well because you decided you had a little stress and your started falling more into the bottle and started doing more drugs. For those who don't know, Nick has been under a lawsuit by Montegraph over his comments he's made. He was seemed to be taking it fairly well. Apparently, he wasn't, as as he started abusing drugs and alcohol more and more. He's been missing a lot of shows. I believed him when he said, "Oh, I'm just spending time with my kids, spending time with my family." I believed him. Why wouldn't you? Why didn't you? So I didn't really look at the signs when they were there. Not that I could have done anything about it, regardless. But looking back, the signs were there that something was going on. He was missing a lot of streams, and it's very bad. Like I was getting, I was like, dude, why do you keep missing so many fucking streams? Oh, okay. Here's another thing. So on the quartering thing, I missed it, but Nick also admitted to driving his kids around just a few hours after being hammered, drunk, allegedly. So still very drunk. Not sure where uh, uh, not sure where the quartering's getting his information. Um, but dude, like these are your kids. You have 5 kids. You have one that I believe he has one that's a 5-year-old and one I don't even know how old this is. He's kept his kids fairly private during his internet thing, which is great, wonderful. But dude, You're a Christian. You're supposed to be the leader of your household, and you're fucking up. You let your wife down into into this mess. Again, I don't know your connection with with the April chick. I don't know. There's rumors. I'm not addressing them, but you're fucking up, and you're letting a lot of people down. Your friends, your kid. More importantly, your kids more than anything. Hold on. Let's look at fucking Kayla. Like, look at this. This is Kayla, his wife. His wife. I didn't think that was her. I honestly didn't think that was her because it looks nothing like her. This is what drugs do to you people. Like it looks nothing like her. Nothing. But it's definitely. I mean, obviously, you're not going to book someone else under her name. But let's see. Hold on. See if I can bring it up because she too has a YouTube channel. Kind of explains why she hasn't really done anything. Uh, I guess maybe she doesn't have a channel anymore. Um, but let me just say, like his wife does not normally look like that. She looked like a very beautiful woman, and now she looks like complete and utter shit. Like holy crap! So another reason I didn't initially believe it is like this doesn't look like fucking Lady Rackets. 'Cause again, look. Now you'll have to go back and watch some streams. I tried to like pull up her YouTube channel to show it, but I doesn't look like she has one anymore. Look at this. Does not look like like Nick looks better than she does. Like this is ridiculous. So, anyways, yeah, I'm not gonna harp on this any longer. But dude, you're supposed to be a Christian man. You're supposed to be the leader of your household, and you've left them to fail. Um, and it's just tragic. Like how I mean, how dare you, dude? How dare you do this to your kids? How dare you do this to your wife? And like, on the off chance it was his wife who even did this, I doubt it. But like on the off chance his wife started this, you're still the failure, dude, because you're supposed to be the leader of your household. You're supposed to be the man of the house. And you're not supposed, you're supposed to have control of the goddamn house. And I don't think it was his wife's fault. I think it solely lands on Nick. And we should accept that. But fucking hell, Nick. I'm gonna call you Nick. I'm not gonna keep calling you Rekieta. Again, how dare you, dude? How dare you do this to your kids? What is wrong with you? You have 5 kids who's relying on you, and they've probably been living in some sort of terror because mommy and daddy aren't right in the heads. And I believe the whole driving with your kids drunk, like even if a few hours later after drinking, I believe that because you don't get to the point where you get arrested by uh, the cops for drug possession without doing some dumb shit with your kids, and that dumb shit includes driving with them while you're not in the best of spaces. You have 5 beautiful kids. This could have ended tragically, and you just kept on doing what you're doing. So I hope this is a brutal wake up call, and I hope he's fucking embarrassed of himself. And he better come out, whenever he gets back and gets on stream, because I don't think they're gonna stay in jail. Um, or anything. He better like the next time he live streams, he better apologize to his kids in front of everyone. Like I hope I hope their kids are being taken care of by at least Lady Racket's family. I assume they're a lot better. I hope they are. But this is just embarrassing, dude. And I hope you come back embarrassed and shamed. And you better get some goddamn help because how dare you put your kids through this? Your 5 kids. One's 5 years old. They're all fairly impressionable, very young, and you put your kids through this. How fucking dare you, you selfish prick? Fucking hell. I was gonna say something else on this. what? Okay, I guess it's not that important. But yeah, Nick, you should be ashamed of yourself, and I hope you are. I hope you this is as far as you go, and you start going on to rehab. Um, and if I don't see an apology, I'll probably stop watching it because this is just tragic. Like, how dare you? Oh, also, he's a lawyer. Okay, so now he's gonna lose his law office or his law degree, more than likely. I'm assuming. Um, and for what? Yes, I understand. There's a lot of stress when you're going through a very high level uh lawsuit and lost stress and all that, but you turn to drugs. You're a godly man. You shouldn't be turning to drugs. You should be turning to God and prayer and all that stuff. But instead, you turn to the fucking bottle and drugs. Like, what the hell, dude? What the hell? I'm just so pissed off. Trying to keep my cool, but now he's gonna probably lose his law degree or his law license, and I hope that hits him just as hard. Obviously, I hope the fact that he's endangered his kids a bunch hits him harder. But I hope that the losing his law degree is the cherry on top of that that just really makes him hit rock bottom. Now, this isn't really rock bottom, but I really hope it is for him. And he comes back better. I really do. Get some help. Go to rehab. But just realize everything you worked hard for has now gone down the drain because of your dumb fucking decisions and your actions. God, you're fucking kids, dude. You're fucking kids. You've done this to them. All right, that's all I got. I'll keep grifting on this. Nick, Kata was the grifting king. So I'm gonna keep grifting off of this shit. Whenever there's news, I got. Um, so whenever I get some decent news, I'll pop up. It probably won't be big, a single stream, unless something really big has happened. Um, so oh, here we go. This is actually perfect. So this is the last thing I'll do about it. So there you go. So this was 6 years ago for 1 year, and then this was now. I think all this is fine because he gained some weight, and then he lost some weight here. I think that was intentional on his part. I don't think this downward spiral really happened till like maybe starting 6 months ago or something like that. But here he's trying to get healthy, and now this was him from his stream where he left for 45 minutes and then started did something. So it was everything to this point was great, and then here's this one right here. So it's a real showing of Nick's fall. I hope this is the stop and it doesn't go any further. But right now, Nick is a piece of shit for what he's done to his kids. And hopefully he makes it up to him. All right. I've had enough. I'm pissed off enough. And let's go yell at some women, not Nick. Fucking hell. All right. So if you watched yesterday, I did part 1 of this. Now it's part 2. Odds are I'm going to end up turning this into part 3 because I'm super late. So odds are I'll be covering this Monday as well. So be on the lookout for that.
Schooled them. Like, I spent 20 years in my house, in my kitchen, chained to the stove. No, I'm just kidding. Doing all of that before I started making commentary on this sort of thing. And yes, I'm sorry, but if you have a whole career outside of your marriage, that complicates things. Women don't want to talk about that, about how difficult it is when you are over here trying to hustle for your career and you have goals that are not related to your family and antithetical to your family, how that is going to interrupt your family life and your marriage.
I want to trigger as many.
I have the stance on this. And I don't think I'm sure a lot of people disagree with me. I think even Andrew Wilson, who the blonde here that was just talking is Rachel Wilson, his wife. I have a thought on this, and maybe it's called double standard. Maybe not. I don't care. I don't think that you can be a good mother and a great career woman. Okay, I don't think that's possible for women. Um, you can only do one things. Sorry, ladies. You can be a good mother, or you can be a good career woman. I don't think you can be both. Now, I'm sure you're like, you're gonna be like Lord Chin, but what about the men, though? Well, what fathers are needed for generally. Well, I mean, if you just look at it, just look at single father and single mother rates. Single mothers, they have the most, they're the leading cause of a lot of degeneracy. Single fathers do fairly better. So I think the evidence shows that single fathers can do both. I still think it's hard for single fathers, but I think the thing is the father's primary role is just to be the disciplinary of their children. They need to come. They need to be the ones that the mother's like, hey, don't make. I'll tell your father when you get home about this. And kids need to have that fear of their father. Um, so their input isn't as great as the mother's input. It's what I believe. That's why I think mothers are designed to be, stay at home moms. They're designed to be. Um, and fathers are meant to be the providers. So I don't think it's possible. I think it's possible for men to do it, not because men are better. I just think we're designed to do that better, or designed to do it. But I don't think you can be a great mom and a great career woman. I think one has to give. And honestly, if you're any type of mother, then the career needs to give, and you need to be a mother. Focus on being a mother, and later on, when your kids are grown and sufficient enough to take care of themselves, like teenage years or something like that, I think then you can be transferred to be. Uh, I guess I should rephrase that. I think you could be a great mother, a good mother, and a great career woman, but it has to wait till the kids are older and don't need you as much. I'll rephrase my thing. So you can be a good mother and a great career woman, but you have to wait until the teenage years to do it when kids are sufficient enough to take care of themselves. Uh, because then they don't really need you as much as they did. Uh, are able, like I said, they're able to take care of themselves sufficiently. So yeah, so I've changed my view on this currently while I'm talking. Is yeah, you can be, but it requires you to um, wait before you can.
They found this as possible, so I'm going to get into this.
Let's go.
Get to this point. So there was a bunch of data that was released by like dating websites on the societal value of men and women, and I think it was OkCupid something like 20 years ago or 15 years ago, showing that societal value tracked among like the willingness of people to interact with each other. Women start their whole lives from zero through all their teen years at 100% societal value. They're protected, they're offered opportunities, they have easier time getting entry-level jobs, and men start at zero.
Yes.
Young men are considered unskilled, non-valuable, break rocks, kid, earn your place. And then around the mid-20s, a shift starts happening where women start to experience a decline in social value while men experience an incline. Yeah. Men are becoming more skilled and more valuable as they become stronger and more capable. And not even all men, only a small percentage of them. Whereas as women age, society values them less and less for the obvious reason of the intrinsic value society had was the ability to have kids. This results in, if your whole life, everyone around you is saying you are the best, and then one day you start hearing everyone say you're not so great and men are better, you start to feel like something's being taken away from you.
Yes.
And so one of the hypotheses I have is that for the average guy who grows up in the gutter is more likely to be homeless, more likely to be a victim of crime, less likely to get entry-level jobs, much harder at a younger age to get a job than women in their teenage years. These guys are like, man, it's rough. Now they're 26 and they're like, life is finally getting good. They're tolerant of the crap. They're used to things being cruddy. And so now they're kind of comfortable. They start hearing women say, man, it's not fair. I'm having these things taken away from me. And the guy thinks, this is the least concerning thing I've ever had to deal with. But that then confers to the men saying, sure, fine, whatever, I don't care. I don't care if you're going to do X, Y, or Z, or the law says this. I've literally eaten out of a dumpster before. This is not my problem. Right. And so women experiencing decline creates a pressure on our legal system and our society to continually shift everything back into benefiting women.
Yes. Yeah, well, I think a lot of women in their 20s and especially into their 30s.
Yeah, I mean, nothing you can disagree with Tim, but yeah, men, like there's always that saying, women age like fine wine, men and like milk. It's not really true. As long as men do the work. And I don't think they have to do the work to the degree that, like red pillars say, where they need to be, jacked and rich and all that shit, but they need to do, some progress in their life at the very least. But they, and age more like wine because a man's not valuable until he's actually able to provide shit. And at 20, like, and it's generally 30, because, like, before you hit 30, no one really listens to you. No one really cares what the fuck you say. All right. You kind of have to earn it. Once you hit 30, people will start to listen to you a little more. All right. They acknowledge that some things you say, society, people, I mean, like it hits 30 when you get to that. Now, if you're still a bum at 30, then that's different. But generally you have a decade of experience, so you're worth listening to at age 30. But up until then, no one really gives a shit about your opinions unless you've really done something great during your 20s, which is rare. So and women, look, let's be honest. Women are given the world on a pedestal, or they're pedestalized. They're given the world on a silver platter in comparison to men. Just being average, a woman being an average individual, and men will do whatever they fucking want for her. Like, second she turns 21, guys will pay for her drinks, guys will buy her dinner, guys will go on dates with her with the hope of getting sex, not realizing that all she's trying to use you for is a free meal. Women has all the advantages in life, and they don't lose those advantages, or they're not they're in that space of, I can get whatever I want, however I want, without just because I'm a woman. And they don't really start, and they're stuck in that mindset from around 16. Because I say 16 because that's when they you know when they get the puberty and all that stuff. They've gone through all the hormones, and they've grown suffice. And around 16 is when kids really start to like get into each other and stuff. It kind of happens a little before that, but generally it's like around 16 when you start driving and shit that you really get into the opposite sex. So from age 16 to like 30, women are stuck in the same stage of, I'm just be attractive and people will give me things. They don't really start maturing until like around 30ish. But generally when men stop buying them drinks at the bar, okay, when that starts happening, women don't really end up maturing, because why the fuck would you? All right, if your life is on easy mode and you don't have to pay for shit, and we'll give everything for you, you go out to eat, you can get free meals and all that stuff, why the fuck would you mature? There's no incentive to mature, okay? But then once all that starts to fall off, okay, what happens is women start to think, oh shit, I got something I need to show for these 10 years of my life. I need something to show. Well, 12 years of my life, I got something I need to show. And that's why you see a giant leap when women hit 30 to try and become mothers, even though they're less fertile. And you see them crying on social media, no one wants me. Yeah, because you wasted your time. As when you're from 18 to 30, you wasted your time just playing around. But you're on a time clock, and eventually the time does strike zero, and you are out of time. And like, we don't start to realize that till a woman has fully started maturing when when she starts wanting babies. When women start wanting babies and stuff, like like hardcore, like in the 30s, men have stopped buying her drinks at the bar. That's how you know. Once they hit 30 and they start really wanting babies, it's that point when men stop, are stopping, are not flirting with them as much, not buying them drinks as much. You just know, okay? And this is a big issue with our culture. Women, they don't start trying to earn, they're not using anything with their value when the getting's good. And then when they're left in the gutter, they're like, oh, what the fuck happened? And it's kind of funny, honestly. But men, we get it out of the mud, like from 18, well, like not even 18, from 16 all the way to 8, all the way to 30. We've been getting in the mud and doing everything we can to get like an ounce of women's attention. And some are more successful than others. By 30, you get 10, 20 years of experience, even 14. And that's when you start becoming attractive to women. Because you generally, like, look, at 30, you should have your shit together. All right. You should have some semblance of a life. You should have a career by then. And the things that make a man attractive start then. When you have these things and you can provide and secure someone, that's when you become attractive. So, men become attractive at 30, women become attractive, the second they're, like the high school boys at 16, and then to everyone else when they turn 18.
They experience this, and there are so many TikTok videos of like women in their 30s in their car crying about how they're no longer desirable because a lot of
Yeah, it's because guys have stopped buying them drinks at the bar. They stopped taking them out for free meals. Men are splitting the checks with them.
women's worth is the dating marketplace, the sexual marketplace. So when these women aren't married and they don't have kids, they are faced with the reality that yes, they do have less societal value, and it's terrifying for them because it's only going to get worse. But that is why, as a woman, motherhood is amazing. Like I'm going to be turning 30, and I have a lot of friends who are single, 30, like unmarried. They're freaking out. Their prospects look very different from mine. Like, I'm married. I have a family. Like I'm actually of the opinion, like now my life is really just beginning. Like now I'm going on the up and up. You can have more kids. It's a beautiful, like my life is almost just beginning, where it's like, if you are the single girl boss, your life is kind of ending at that point. And it's so disappointing to see that they don't realize that it didn't have to be this way for them.
With greater, I think all of you are probably heard of greater male variability hypothesis. Are you familiar? So if we look at the strength chart, actually, it's pretty interesting. You can see that the median male strength, it's wider than female strength. Mm-hmm. So greater male variability hypothesis is that there are more failure men, but there are more exceptional men, and women tend to be more average.
We cluster around the mean.
Well, so think about what this means for entering the marketplace. You want to be the girl boss. You want to be the CEO. If you look at grip strength, which is not indicative, doesn't necessarily correlate specifically with capability to run a company. Look at the guys, which are triple the median grip strength, the highest end of guys. There's 500 Fortune 500s. There are 330 million Americans. Let's say there's 150. Let's say there's 80 million adult males. Mm-hmm. Only 500 will be top CEOs. Yeah. That means the girl boss who is in her late 20s, entering her 30s, and thinks I want to be the CEO, not the mom, has to compete with the highest end of the male capability spectrum, which tends to be due to greater male variability hypothesis. There's going to be 10,000 male geniuses of insane strength fighting each other, and there's going to be 100 females. That means the likelihood of you seeing a Fortune 500 CEO female is going to be very, very low unless we pass DEI laws.
Can I ask a question? I don't know if this is a dumb question, but why does grip strength have to do with CEOs?
That's why I said this is not a direct correlation.
Oh, okay. That's why I was thinking, like, what is
but it tends to be this way in a lot of the exceptional men are so far ahead of everybody else.
Right.
This is simply an example of greater male variability. It does not correlate with CEOs. It's an example of how in grip strength, almost all women cluster right at the same point. Mm-hmm. But men, look at this.
I think IQ is similar.
Yeah, IQ is similar. Again, women are more clustered around the mean, so their curve is looking more like this. Men look like this. So you're going to have dumber men for sure, but you're also going to have.
I don't believe it. Sorry. I know. I don't. I just look at life outcomes. I know all the academic.
Yeah, what Lauren's talking about is women kind of just stay average. Like if you look at the bell curve, it's kind of like this, okay? When you look at the bell curve for women, that's the IQ and all that stuff. It's like, they have some extremes on both ends, but generally they're centered in the middle. With men, it's like this. It's like, okay? But like they said, they got more on the edge of extremes. Okay, so we got more poor men. We also got far more rich, intelligent, and strong men. And the averages are like here, and it kind of expands from there. Women, they kind of just stay average. All right, most women are just average, which kind of proves the point that women aren't as special as they think they are.
Academics will say this, the science is proven, whatever. But look, I'm sorry, I have to believe what's in front of my eyes. I've interviewed 1,000 men, 1,000 women. Women make way dumber life choices. You won't convince me otherwise.
Probably some of the dumbest life choices you could make would be the ones that lead you to be homeless. Homeless are
okay. Yeah. Let's talk about the homeless. Actually, no.
I gotta address your point. You said women make worse life choices. I'd say a man who married a woman who divorced him and took his stuff made a poor life choice.
That's true. People make their own decisions, responsible for their own actions.
Yeah. I think the equivalent of.
So you can tell, like, oh yeah, the responsible for the life act. It's always about the men when Laura speaks up about this. It's always about the men, and then she pushes back when it's women. When you try to hold women accountable, she pushes back on you. But when you say men fuck up, then it's just it's the men's fault. It's the men's fault. They're responsible. But if you push back on the women, now she's gonna push against you.
That would be if I get into a contract with you and you're paid to fuck me over, steal my kids, and take my money.
Yeah, that's your fault.
Right. So then men shouldn't get married by that logic. So
don't get married unless you're absolutely sure.
Or have children.
No. See, Tim's incorrect about this. Don't be, you don't know absolutely for sure. Now, like for me, I'm very confident that my wife isn't going to leave me. I've had various steps that kind of, in my opinion, have kind of lessened my chance of being divorced and left destitute and all that stuff. Um, been married. Oh, oh, is it 6 or 8 years? Yeah, I've been married 6 years now. My wife was a virgin when I met her. She moved in with me not that long after. She's great. She's dutiful. So I have no illusions that my wife's gonna leave me. If I was in a position not being married to her legally, I probably wouldn't be. Just because it's just too much. There's too much issues. I'd still be married to her in my view, but I wouldn't maybe be legally married. Um, just because again, it's true that women can fuck you over in divorce and they can change like that, and you don't really know. Like for like I said, I got a lot of confidence my wife isn't gonna leave me. She's not gonna divorce me. I probably have more confidence than most people, but there's been plenty of men like that who have had those confidences, and all of a sudden they get switch up and their wife takes them to the cleaners. So Tim's point's not that great. Okay, the Pearls is a lot better. Just don't get married in this system. Don't get married. Women end up having all the incentive to get married. So yeah, so I disagree with Tim's point.
That logic, because women are always paid and they're paid to leave.
Well, I mean, I'm
So,
back on the idea.
but I
that
want to
women
know.
are
I actually want to.
If you're married,
See, again, if you notice, Lauren push backs when you're painting women in a negative light. When you paint men in a negative light, it's all cool. Don't talk about it. So she's actually a feminist.
married to like a rich guy, you are better off if you're just interested financially. You have access to greater resources by staying married.
But
No,
what is
that's
your
not-
argument
that's
that men
not-
should get
that's
married anyway, even if they risk divorce?
No. My argument is that men should pick for themselves, but I would never downplay the risk of marriage, and I think it could happen to
Yeah,
anyone.
poor life choice.
Even a
If
good
they're
woman,
watching your show and they believe what you're saying, they made a dumb choice.
all right, rude, but
It's true, it's your one.
even a good woman. Sometimes women in their 20s change, so they might say one thing in their 20s, and then their 30s and 40s they might switch. Look at
So men shouldn't get married.
conservative comment. No, because they are still incentivized to leave.
Right, so
And as
men
long
shouldn't
as-
get married.
Oh wait, should or shouldn't?
Shouldn't.
Well, I'm saying men should pick for themselves, but I would never downplay that.
Men shouldn't get married. Come on, Pearl. Just say it. Men shouldn't get married. The laws aren't in our favor. All right. Men really shouldn't get married. It's just, there's no benefit of being in an illegal contract with someone that's going to break it. And again, I am in an illegal contract. I love my wife. I don't regret marrying her. I didn't have a lot of knowledge on marriage than I do now, and I probably wouldn't marry her legally, just because of how much it's pitted again, how disadvantaged I am. But I absolutely would still be my wife, 100%. Love her to death. Wonderful woman, a lot better than most women, in my opinion, better than all women. And I'm right. My opinion's 100% right.
That risk, but I want to go.
If they're going to listen to everything you just said and then choose to get married, they made a poor life choice.
I'm not saying it's good or bad. I am saying that from a contractual standpoint, it would not be a contract that favors them.
Right. So the point is, if your argument is the system is weighted against you,
Correct.
you can get divorced, then the logical thing a smart man could do is not get married and have kids.
I agree. Well, I agree with the not getting married. I don't agree with the kids. Although still having kids, even if you're not married, still, it still ends up being held against you, and you ended up, you can still get lost. But I think you should still have kids regardless. I think having kids is still, I still think kids are. Sorry. I think kids are still a net benefit regardless of what happens. So I think I don't agree with the kids part. I agree with Tim on the marriage part.
Yeah, if they wanted a contract that favored them, yes.
But
But I want to go back to the homeless, and the problem you get with a lot of this stuff is that there's not a lot of studies put into men's issues. So a lot of times, what you see with the data is you're not getting the full picture, because most studies that are funded, it's for women, and the government is run by feminists. So there's a guy. He's out of Michigan. His name's Terrence Pop, really, really smart guy. And he actually followed 1,800 divorces in Michigan. And what he did was he found the reason for the divorces, and he actually followed a lot of those men to homeless shelters. And he found that if he goes to homeless shelters, 70% of the men owe child support. A lot of men are become homeless because of the system.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but that's my
And
point.
men are-
But the way you're painting it is like, oh, if they're homeless, that's just a poor life choice.
But I mean,
And
from your own logic, you know, if you have sex with a guy who knocks you up then leaves, that's a poor life choice, right? These are all, we can say, poor life choices to some degree that gets you there. Doesn't absolve the other person of responsibility either, but you are ultimately at least a little bit culpable for the
I'm not saying they're not.
Again, she's willing to leave the culpability once the men, but when you try to push back on the women, she always has something to fight against. All right, she's always ready to put men down, but fight when it's women being painted in a bad light. You saw this throughout this entire podcast.
Culpable, but what I'm saying is that he shouldn't have to be enslaved for 18 years to a woman because he made a poor life choice. And there's no female equivalent of that.
I mean,
no, because the woman
so
can always put the guy on child support for the most part.
having to raise a child that perhaps you did not want in single motherhood, some women would say that.
But she still has the choice to abort. And adoption is what, you know.
And also she has the choice to not fucking leave. Like, unless there's like abuse or some, and I don't mean emotional abuse, because that's, you know, a lot of that's a load of crap. A lot of emotional abuse like claims are a bunch of crap. Okay, but unless there's like physical abuse, trying to think of anything else. Definitely physical abuse. There's other things that could legitimately warrant a divorce, but a majority of the single mothers aren't due to, guy just, banging her and leaving. Well, there's probably a good amount of them, don't get me wrong, but a lot of them it's because they're divorcing these guys because they're not happy. They don't have the duty. So no, that whole, like, it's not all poor life choices. Well, it is poor life choices. But on one end with women, it's choices they've made specifically with their intent. Okay. With men, it's choices that are made without their say so, really. It's choices taken out of men's hands. And the choice is always in the woman's hands. And that's what Pro's trying to talk about. Is that, being put on child support and taken to the cleaners is always out of the man's hands. He doesn't have any choice in the matter. But with women, being a single mom, being without a man, being all that stuff, that's all in the woman's choices. Okay. Being a single mom, either you banged the wrong dude or you left the dude. Okay. Having no no one wants you because you made the poor life choices. And again, Pearl always says, you have the choice to abort and all that stuff. But again, we're talking past each other because, again, all the choice is out of the man's hands, because you can't detect someone's intent ever. Like, you can't really detect it until like afterwards when they decide to let you see it. It's very hard to do and near impossible for most people. So you can get married, have kids with a wonderful woman, and then one day she just decides to divorce you. There's nothing you can do. There could have been no sign. There may have been no signs that you were able to see. All the choice is taken out of the man's hands. But the woman has all the choice in the world. She can choose to say, she can choose to abort the kid. She can choose not to have sex with that person. She can choose to divorce that guy and take all his money. Like, all the choices in the woman's hands, no choices in the men's hands.
There's a case in Utah where a woman wanted to give up her son for adoption. The husband wanted it. He wanted to raise. He said, "Please let me raise. He had no rights. The kid's gone."
Do you think women should be drafted?
I think as long as we can vote, we should be drafted. I think it's better that we didn't vote.
Agreed.
But I think if you're going to give women the freedom, like, as long as we have the freedom.
No, women shouldn't be drafted, period. Women shouldn't be in the military, period. Unless they are able to hit the same standards as men. The only reason,
Give them the responsibility that comes with it, or you can opt out.
Yeah. I talked to Vivek Ramaswamy about this a year ago. he doesn't really stand in this position today, but it was a brilliant idea. He said, maybe it should be, if you want to vote, you have to sign up for the selective service.
Service through citizenship.
So this doesn't mean you will be drafted, because we haven't had a draft in 50 some odd years. It just means that men and women both would have to say, I am willing to fight when the need arises, and then you're allowed to vote. What would happen? Overwhelmingly, liberals would no longer vote, and women would no longer vote.
Yeah.
Right. But that's why you also have to get rid of the 19th Amendment, because I don't know if you guys saw this, but Sheetz, Tim, we're going to do this. So Sheetz, it's this like kind of gas station company. They're actually being taken to court by a federal agency for discriminating against Black applicants. Why, you might say? Well, it turns out part of their screening process is they do a background check on applicants, and they don't want people who have a criminal background. Sounds reasonable enough. But what the government found was that Black applicants were actually being ruled out of the running for jobs at a higher rate than white or Hispanic applicants.
What does that do with the 19th Amendment?
No, it's the Civil Rights Act, right?
Oh.
So basically, the federal
What? What does this have to do with anything about women's issue? Yeah, Blacks have higher criminalities than other applicants. Okay, so
agents are actually acknowledging that perhaps this discrimination was not purposeful, right? They weren't trying to discriminate against Black people, but still, because the outcome was inequitable toward Black people, they were still running afoul of the Civil Rights Act, which prevents discrimination based on like immutable characteristics. So I am in favor of service through citizenship, but the reason why the 19th Amendment is a problem with that is that if it were to be the case that there was some sort of metric for service for voting, and it happened that women were disproportionately not represented, I could see they would absolutely make the case that that requirement was running afoul of the 19th Amendment because the outcomes were unequal.
yeah, here's the thing. You could just pass an amendment requiring service through citizenship, and that would eliminate the 19th Amendment. Lauren doesn't know what she's talking about. So there was the 20th Amendment, voting through citizenship. That would win. Like you could be like, oh well, it's not the 19th Amendment. Blah 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 blah. Even the civil rights one it's all right, because now it's all up to your decision. You have and I disagree with her here. That's like, oh, it would run afoul because it would be seen unequitable. Maybe so, but here's the thing: when you make an amendment, the new amendment really ends up standing. So, like, say there's a 28th Amendment, and it ends, like Newsom's doing, and he wants to add the 28th Amendment, and it's background checks, blah blah blah. That would take over the Second Amendment that has the no French food. It's not good explanation. But let's say we pass the 28th Amendment, citizen or voting through servitude or for service. Then that would eliminate the 19th, and that would eliminate the Civil Rights Voting Rights Act, whatever it's called, because all this 20th Amendment would say, all right. And this is actually, it wouldn't be seen unequal because it would be even. By even means, all you have to do is, everyone, not just men, everyone would be able to gain this right to vote. They would just have to do X thing. And if you're unwilling to do that, then you can't be seen as being unequitable because you have the option to do it. You have the ability. All you got to do is sign a paper. If you can't do that, then you can't call it unequitable just because you can't do it. And she's claiming, this whole gas station thing. Yeah. Look, companies do that all the time. I don't believe this story that she's saying. I don't believe the story she was talking about because companies do that all the time. Every company does every company does a background check. I don't see a bunch of companies getting sued because of discrimination against Black people just because they have a lot more records because of that. I don't believe this story one bit. Because every company runs a background check. Most companies run a background check. Let me get that right. Especially higher end companies, they run a background check. And I don't see them getting sued. Okay. I haven't seen security companies getting sued. I haven't seen a lot of companies getting sued. So I don't believe this story one bit. Because there's a lot of companies, I think pretty much all the companies I've worked for, they ran a background check. So I don't believe the story for a second.
Yeah.
Does everybody agree to get rid of the 19th? Is that what
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are your reasons for it, Pearl?
That women shouldn't vote because we don't do equal work. So I think if we're not running the infrastructure, if we're not in the military like men are, we're not paying taxes like men are, I don't think that we should vote.
Or dying on oil rigs.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's basically like women aren't contributing enough to society in the same ways with like the taxes and stuff like that.
I think that men are more capable than women by and large, like as a group. But I was trying to think about how you could apply it to today, because I don't think today you could just say women shouldn't vote. I mean, I do like the t-shirts. Go get them at the AudacityNetwork.com. They're funny t-shirts, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think the only way you'd limit female vote.
But I guess I want to know, I want to get to your reasoning why.
Because I think if you're going to have a say in the policies. You need to have some skin in the game.
Mhm.
So you need to be running the infrastructure. You need to be a net. I mean, I think only 20% of people are net taxpayers
Very
anyway.
small, yeah.
Yeah. I think maybe own land. We could go back and forth about what exactly you would need to require in order to vote, but I think you have to have some skin in the game. Otherwise, you're just going to keep voting for benefits.
Net
So-
taxpayer, real quick, just so everyone understands, something like only 43% of people pay taxes because the
Yeah.
rest are on, like, they don't reach that threshold.
Right.
But of that 43, many are receiving more in government benefits than they actually
So they're
pay.
Yes.
still not net
I
taxpayers.
like the net taxpayer.
Yeah,
vote on
yeah.
this.
So continuing on that, do you also support repealing the 15th Amendment?
You have to remind me what the 15th
Do you
Amendment
think
is. I'm sorry. Go
it's
ahead.
basically like the 19th, but for Black people?
So it says the rights of citizens in the U.S. to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the U.S. or by any state on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude.
I don't think so, but I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. Is that what you think?
Well, again, I'm for like service guaranteeing citizenship, and I don't think being a woman should give you the right to vote. I think the same thing applies to race. And if we were to, do something like net taxpayer, property owner, et cetera, or even like married households, Black people would be disproportionately underrepresented.
I don't care. Like she's like, oh, well, I don't care. Okay, if you're too lazy to do these type of things, why should you vote? Okay, like the whole same thing with the voter ID laws and stuff, and people are say, oh, it disproportionately affect Black people because and then they make a very racist statement saying why it would affect Black people. Apparently, they're not smart enough to go and get a voter ID. Then guess what? If you're not able to go get the damn voter ID, I don't want you to fucking vote. So I don't care if it's going to disproportionately affect you if you're unable to do said things. Okay, I don't care if you're unable to do said things. I don't think it matters. Now, I don't think the whole property taxes thing, I don't think that's the right way to go. I think Andrew Wilson's service through vote, like rights to servitude, I think that's a better outcome because everyone can fucking do that. All right, you don't have to reach a certain threshold. Everyone can do that. Everyone has that opportunity to do that, and I think that servitude has to do with something in politics. Okay, I think that's what it has to do. And I think if if you have to be in the selective service, I think that should be a non-mag guarantee. Well, actually, trying to think, maybe not. Yeah, selective service. I do think. You know what? I think selective service, and then servitude. Service to servitude. I think those both would should automatically give the access to vote, because regardless of what happens, like no matter what you say, no matter what you do, men have to be going to be drafted. Like there's a war, men are going to have to be drafted because men are the fighting force. They are the enforcement of your rights. They are everything. Okay, they are the fighting force. They have to be drafted. It doesn't matter. We could get rid of the draft tomorrow. And then we get into a big war. You know what's going to fucking happen? A fucking draft. That's what's going to happen. Like, it doesn't fucking matter. So I do think because a draft is required regardless. Because when things go bad, you need men on the line. So I think selective service, I think that should be automatic for voting rights. And then I think, for everyone else, for the women, voting through servitude. So you got to spend 6 years volunteer work and everything, and that's how you get your rights. And I think we need to distribute it. So it needs to be 3 years, and it has to be something in politics or something. Yeah. Or like Pearl said, you need to work in a job that works on the infrastructure of society, keeps society running. That's another way to do it. You can work a job there, or you can volunteer and work. You can volunteer in government work, and you need to spend 3 years in the Democrat side and 3 years in the Republican side. So you got to do 3. Okay, so that way you get both parties. I think that's what we need to do when it comes to voting rights. And I don't care if it disproportionately affects people. If you're too lazy to fucking do it, you don't want to do it, fine. You don't need to vote then.
Presented like women would be. So if the 15th Amendment's on the books, you're also going to have discrimination that way. So that's why I'm asking why exactly.
So you're saying by that they would claim discrimination if we passed those policies?
Yeah.
Well, then I guess by that logic, it seems like that would make sense too. But I don't really know.
I think I figured out the problem. I think the 28th Amendment, the right to vote shall be, or voting shall be granted only to those who have 2 children or more and are actively in the lives of those children. Now, how you make that legal? General idea is you got to have 2 kids and you got to be actively parenting them, or they must be adults, and then you're allowed to vote.
No, I still think military members should be able to vote.
And military members, I agree with that.
Yeah. So, or like men that have very big like tax, like, you know, like if Jeff Bezos didn't, I don't even, does he have kids? I don't know.
know.
But I'm saying like big companies like that, I think it would be fair.
I think all of these things together make sense. Like the idea that someone can show up and, you know, when I think it was 2020, Andrew Yang said he was going to move to Georgia. End of 2020, he's going to move to Georgia to help, who was it, Warnock or whatever, I remember his name, in Georgia win. It's like, you don't live there and you're going to go to their state and vote on how they should be represented is insane.
Right. Yeah.
And that's because in this country, voting is no longer about winning an argument and deciding on how your side should be run. It's about collecting pieces of paper with names on them. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a little bit of a different take on women voting, even service and these other things. Like even my husband will say, maybe if they're willing to do like years of service or something, I would still say no based on the argument that the anti-suffragettes made, which was that if you as a woman cannot protect persons or property, if you're not going to be defending the homeland, if you're not going to be defending your home, why should you be voting? And the reason is like this kind of lends itself to the bigger conversation of why do we have this idea that women were historically oppressed? Were they?
Just an update. Looks like Nick's going to be arraigned today at 11 CST. That's Central Standard Time. So I just reposted, the. So it looks like it's going to be arraigned in like 30 minutes. So yeah, you want to watch, you're welcome to do that.
Actually oppressed. If you go back and read their writings at the time in the 17th, 18th, 19th century, they said no, we're privileged. And then you'll hear a feminist say something like, oh, but they didn't have bank accounts. But they never tell you why. They never tell you why women didn't have bank accounts or credit cards. And it's because legally women cannot be held responsible for supporting the family.
And you see all
they
this debt we have now?
They couldn't be held. Yeah, women could not accrue debt that way. And what would be the point of a woman owning a bunch of land if she can't make the land produce anything? She can't defend the land against people who might come and try to take it. There were practical reasons for these things. It wasn't just the evil patriarchy trying to keep women down. And I think those things still apply. Even with modern warfare, you have drone technology. We just talked about guns and how even with guns, men are much better with them than women are. They're just loading, reloading. Anytime you're in a combat situation, men are going to be better. Why would we want to task women with defense of persons and property? So why would we want to grant them voting?
I would be so pissed if I called the cops and they sent me a female cop.
Well,
I'd be
that's the thing,
so
right?
pissed.
If there's a natural disaster, there's like a huge hurricane that takes out the entire southeast, right? And the power's out.
You have a
and there's
female
flood.
firefighter.
Nobody's like, oh,
Well,
send
I'm
the
an
feds.
athlete. I'm
Please
6
send
foot.
the
I'm
feds.
taller than most. What are you going to do that I can't do?
Right. But,
So I wanted to bring up, so your Nala video. What did I do that was so wrong about Nala?
Well,
I want to talk about this whore.
Yeah. So, you know, this is a thing where we brought it up when I was talking to Andrew, Rachel's husband. You can find him at the Crucible.
Again, I just want to reiterate, if you're interested in watching Nick's arraignment, I just reposted it. It's reported from the Spectre Report. You may watch it, may not. I don't know. Oh, okay. So, so the court does not know in what order they will be arraigned. So it's not guaranteed to be at exactly 11. So who knows?
Well, I believe it's his channel. So basically, I am of the belief that if you are a new convert, you should not be in any type of leadership position at a church, especially as a woman, like pastor. No,
a woman should never have any leadership role in a church.
Yeah,
to begin with.
That's a red flag.
Yeah.
Basically, if you're going to church and it's like, this is the female
So we
pastor.
agree.
Well, hang on. But so I don't disagree with everything you said about
Okay,
her. But
okay.
basically, you had some tweets saying like Jesus won't save these hoes, and I think it's reasonable to be skeptical. And you were kind of digging on whether Nala is or is not still engaging.
She raised her OnlyFans prices after this is confirmed.
Again, and I don't think Pearl really explained this much, if I remember correctly. What Pearl is saying when she says Jesus isn't going to save these hoes, meaning, okay, what that means. It doesn't mean literally. Sorry, I got distracted with something. Sorry, getting distracted here. So when she's saying Jesus can't save this host, what she's meaning is Jesus can't save them from the consequences of their actions. So they can get salvation, okay? They can get salvation but they can't be saved from the consequences of action. So if you're a giant hoe, okay, you can just, be saved. You can go to heaven when if you repent, all that stuff. But that's not going to protect you from the consequence of your action from men. So men still aren't going to be dating you because we're a giant hoe. Men aren't going to take you seriously, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's what Pearl actually means. I don't think she did a good job explaining that. I think she just doubled down to piss off Lauren.
She raised her OnlyFans prices after.
Right.
I
Now,
think anything from that, she's full of shit.
yeah. So I'm not here to. I support you trying to keep her accountable. I don't think that's a bad thing.
Then why did
But
I get a 30-minute video on me?
Well,
Then why did I don't know? It's
It
20
wasn't,
minutes.
it wasn't 30
I
minutes
didn't
just
watch
on
the
you. I
whole
was
thing,
going through a bunch of tweets.
Classic woman exaggerating the number.
but the idea
Sorry, I'm
is,
still a woman.
Yeah,
Sorry.
what can you do?
do you think it is possible for Christ to save someone like
It's possible,
Noah?
but I need some evidence. I need some evidence that you've done something.
All Pearl's saying is that Jesus can save you, but are you actually serious about being saved? Are you really trying to be saved? Are you actually wanting to be saved? Like, are you actually doing the work to get saved? I think we'll watch the fruits of your labor. I'm not Christian. I'm not, I don't know, but it's all Pearl's asking is like, I just need some fucking evidence that you're actually doing what you're saying for me to believe that you're trying to be saved. All right, because look, you can say you're being saved in public, still doing all the righteous shit and all that stuff. Jesus isn't going to save you because you're not actually wanting to be saved. I think that's what Pearl's talking about. But I think the tweet was more about Jesus isn't going to save you from consequences; he'll just save your soul. I think that's what generally it's about. But all Pearl's asking is like, dude, I need some evidence before I just jump on the bandwagon and believe you instantly.
Before we put her on a show and say this woman is saved, because it's going to deter people from Christianity in the long term. If men, see they're putting OnlyFans whores as preachers in churches now. Sorry, I don't know if that's going to affect you, but and so I think when someone's clearly full of shit, we got to call them out on it.
Do you not see like there could be kind of a middle ground where we say, hey, it is amazing you've come to Christ. Let us encourage you in your walk with a new Christian, while also simultaneously not saying, hey, let's make this person our preacher.
Would you let a reformed pedophile buy kids in church? They said sorry. Would you let him buy the kids?
Buy the kids?
Mm-hmm, buy the kids. Would you let them in the church freely? A reformed pedo?
No, I don't think you can be a reformed.
So
pedophile.
why are we bringing a reformed hoe who said she wanted to sleep with married men and love to get them to cheat around married men? No, you put them in the back.
Not only does she say that, she also says she gets off on it.
Back of the church, you say, why don't you show us that you actually put your money where your mouth is, do some work, and then come back?
I don't have a problem with that either.
So then I shouldn't have got this video.
Well, you said Jesus can't save these hoes. That's the issue, right?
Yeah,
I welcome the skepticism.
They have to save them. They have to at least delete the OnlyFans.
Well, people say she has deleted it now.
Okay, so she deleted it the day before the Michael Knowles interview. She was saved in December. She had 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. She raised her prices and didn't delete it till the day before. And then I'm still finding Telegram chats. And then the women, it's like,
and I don't know if those look legit.
So but my point is, what you should make sure that all your shit's at least down before you come out and start preaching if you really gave a shit.
It's definitely sketchy, I would say. And I think the problem is with conservatives, like so eager and desperate to find anyone that could potentially be on their side now. Like you see Bill Maher, for instance.
Yeah.
If Bill Maher, he's clearly a liberal, he'll say free speech is good, woke bad. Conservatives are like, this is our guy, even though he's like a Trump hater, clearly not conservative, a liberal.
He's just not super woke.
But right, we're just so desperate. So that's why Nalo's propped up by everyone.
But I want to show what's happens, because this happens in churches all the time. Right now, you make a video defending an OnlyFans chick, but Crowder couldn't get the benefit of the doubt.
I know. I've known Crowder for a long time. Like that's a different.
Yeah,
issue.
but I know. But we all know what she did on the internet. She was getting tag teamed by 2 dudes 8 months ago.
I think you should use her. I think the idea that whether or not she's truly formed is immaterial to the fact that she become a propaganda tool for virtue.
Yeah, but why would you want her to do that if she's going to go back later? What evidence? And this is why you have young men. I know you said it's some young men are going to Orthodox, but by and large, men are leaving the church.
They're leaving the woke churches and they're going back to the really traditional, like the Roman Catholic Latin Mass, Eastern Orthodox, the really traditional, like Lutherans or Baptists are seeing.
You have to make it more profitable for her to stay as a reformed individual. So if the issue is an OnlyFans hooker comes out and says, I am reformed, I've seen the light, and then prominent people say, we will never accept you, screw you, she goes,
that's not what they're saying. It's not what Pearl is saying. So we'll never accept you. What Pearl is saying is you're gonna need to do some work before we believe you. Okay, we need you to do some work before we believe you. All right. If you want our blessing, you need to do some fucking work. And if you're not gonna do the work, why should we believe you?
There's no light for me. I can't live this way.
No. I'm saying do some work. Anything. My God, could you go to a convent? I mean, she was getting tag teamed by 2 dudes. So 8 months ago. So it's like, okay, could we send her to, I don't know, some
Yes.
missionary or
And,
something.
and so the response
Reform Ho, the Church of Reform Hoes. Oh, yeah.
from the right should be like, wow, that's
I don't know.
the
Keep her away,
response-
keep her away from the
Yes.
married men.
The
You want to
response-
marry
the
her
response
husband?
should be-
we judge them by their works. I
Well,
think the
well,
response should be, we accept you, but let us see the fruit of Christ within.
But that's not what you guys were doing. You were propping her up and saying, yeah, this is her. You were, yeah, that's all it was. It wasn't, we'll judge you by the fruits of your work. It wasn't like, we accept you. Let's see what you do with it. It was, oh, yeah, we got one. Yeah, this is awesome. Woo, prop her up. That's what that was.
in your life. And I think
Right.
you know, people have been critical about, well, all the millions that you've made essentially leading young men to sin. I think it would be a great show of faith if she were to do something with that money. You know,
Exactly.
whether it
Right.
be
That would
charitable,
be great.
church donation, something like that. Maybe even specifically a men's organization, because that's the group that she was predating on and exploiting.
And what you're communicating to young women is you can do whatever you want, say sorry, and here's your media
Yeah,
career.
that's,
Have
that's,
fun.
that is the Catholic
Yeah.
Church. That's right. You can go and ask for forgiveness, and if you truly mean it, it is
And
granted
then-
to you.
and then
we
you
should be
get-
advocating
and-
for women to try to change their lives, right? I agree. It's
well,
fake,
I don't have a problem with women changing their lives. What I find offensive actually is using Christianity as a grift.
I
and
totally
that's-
agree.
and I just find that offensive.
Except that, yeah, and I agree with you,
Yeah.
but I would say if people begin to believe that the better grift is not in being a hooker, but
Yeah.
being a Christian, that's winning the culture war.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
and I think you could argue that, but those women tend to be so damaged, they tend to do the same thing. And what you see over long periods of time is now you have predatory women in the church.
No, I agree.
And
I
then
agree.
oftentimes young men that don't know better end up marrying these chicks.
And so I would agree with you on that, Patsy. I'm just saying, at the very least, her attempt at this grift, if it is a grift, shows that she believed the right side of history and the profitable side of history is virtue, not degeneracy. It doesn't mean she's not a degenerate. It just means she's being like, ooh, there's more money over here.
My
That's a good
argument,
sign.
my argument is I think it's funny how conservatives give an OnlyFans whore the benefit of the doubt, but they won't do that for Steven Crowder.
I agree with
and,
that.
and
I
I,
agree
and I
with
see
that
that same pattern of behavior.
Well,
And the reason,
feel
and
that
I
way
see
with-
that,
I mean,
and
I
I
know
see that
Crowder, so
same,
that's like a
and I
thing.
see
No one
that's
cares, Lauren. No one cares if you know Crowder, okay? Just because you know Crowder, he's not that great of a person with employees doesn't mean that you just automatically believe a woman.
same pattern of behavior at churches across the country. I
I
see
feel
the
that way
same.
with Andrew Tate, right? Andrew Tate is someone who he got rich, you know, webcam industry. There's some people who are still very, very against him for being a pornography peddler. He has since, like, you know, he's Muslim now. He basically still believes, like, I did what I had to do. I had no money. So he hasn't really apologized for it. But at the same time, that's not the same person who he is today. But you still have conservatives who are like, they basically blacklisted him because of that. Meanwhile, Nala, they're like open arms. Now, I think that maybe it's not the direct comparison because Andrew Tate is not a Christian. He is Muslim. But I do see that you have a point there. They're way more open to knowledge changing than someone like Andrew Tate changing.
Simps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have this idea.
S-I-M-P-I-N-G.
We have this idea that women are born angelic and
Yeah.
innocent until some bad man somewhere does something to her to make her become a bad lady, and then she can reform, and we all clap, and it's great. There's no grace for men like that. Like when men change their ways, they used to be degenerate in some way, and then they come to Christianity. There's not as much applause. They don't usually do a podcasting tour. They don't usually come out with merch, and all this other stuff because we're seeing this as a trend, right? These ex-strippers, ex-OnlyFans girls coming to Christ. But my problem with it is it always comes with donate to my ministry. Here's my cash app.
Let me
Buy my
sell
Jesus Loves You
rosaries for
shirt.
$200.
Right,
I
yeah.
was like, can you just read the Bible?
Like traditionally in my church, we had Saint Mary of Egypt was one of our most famous and most venerated saints because she was probably the depths of degeneracy for a woman. She was like a prostitute. She was a nympho. And when she converted, she did not start a podcasting tour or a ministry or, something where you had to give her money. It was nothing like that. She went into the desert alone for decades and just like prayed and became very virtuous privately.
Yeah.
And generally what our church traditionally has prescribed for women who come from that level of degeneracy is something more like a monastic path or something where, they have to take a lot of time because it's not something you just flip a switch and now I'm good. It's like it takes a long
Can
time.
I say
to
one
go
more
through
thing?
the
Can I say one more
process?
thing
Yeah.
that I find annoying? I'm just going to put this out there. These people, these OnlyFans whores, keep like, oh, Pearl, I'll pray for you. I'm like, what did I do? I just said words you don't like. You got tag teamed by two dudes.
Like, I'll pray for you.
And I'm like, you can take your prayers and shove them because I know what you're saying.
They got real mad at me when I called them hookers. That actually,
Oh, that was such a
The
funny
ho
tweet.
pronouns. You got the ho pronouns wrong.
because there was one and she was like, how dare you call my friend a hooker, which there's nothing wrong with at all. And I'm like, then it's not an insult, it's a description. Like, she could have been like, I think you are misdescribing my friend. And that it was like outrage. It appeared in a Hulu documentary. I'm like, dude, I think OnlyFans is just today's version of hooking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You go to a, like,
Virtual hooking.
when they didn't have the photograph, a guy would have to go to a building to find a woman to get a show, a burlesque show or something.
Mhm.
Now women are going on OnlyFans, and I would say people are asking like, what's the difference between like stripping and OnlyFans? Why would you call it hooking? Because of the personal relationship that people think they're getting.
Yeah.
You go on the app and you think you're talking to this woman, and
Mhm.
she's giving you your pleasure and your titillation for money. I do want to clarify though, there was some survey where they asked men, knowing that the majority of these OnlyFans, they call them models. Ridiculous.
I know.
So I'll just say,
Models.
knowing the survey said, ask guys, do you care that you're actually sexting and having perverse conversations with men who are being paid to do it? They said, no, I don't care. Men didn't care. They were like, doesn't matter to me.
Because porn makes men gay.
It does.
Yeah, it does.
There's
It
actually an
does.
article on my Substack about how I think that happened. But this is Schrodinger's feminist, right? Women are strong and empowered when they're OnlyFans models. But also, if you call them a hooker, now she's an innocent victim, and you're mean because you're a man.
Probably emotional.
Yeah, how dare you? How dare you call a woman what she is? You call her a hooker. Shame on you.
abusive if
I
they say
think, I
that.
think women are more sexual than men. And the reason I think that is because when media is catered to women, it's like pretty much sexuality is at the core of
Yeah.
it. So you were
Already.
talking about
Name
podcasts
one
earlier.
pop star who's not a sexual.
Yeah. And as the
person.
media becomes more
Female
female
pop star.
focused, it becomes
Oh my god, all the fucking females are fucking. Jesus Christ, they're fucking. All of them are fucking whores. It's ridiculous. Like, how many female pop stars you see grinding on shit, doing some twerking shit, wearing skimpy outfits? They're all fucking whores.
way more sexual.
I don't know. I can't think of a single female pop star that's just singing her songs, wearing an appropriate outfit. It's always something skimpy. Okay, every single fucking time.
Where
Well, I
men,
would
it's
say
like
women get the
men-
power from sex. Like
Yeah.
that's how they get into the
Yes.
rooms.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
sleep with their bosses. They get this information. Like that's really the only thing that women have above men is because women control the access to sex.
Right.
So men need to not have sex with these women because that's what's giving these hoes the power.
But
what I
most,
love
but, most,
about-
but most men can't. And that's the problem is women get sexual access from a much younger age and they sleep with a small percentage of men. So most men are not sleeping around. So it's like, again, we put the onus on 5-10% of men that get sexual access at a young age. And then it's like conservatives tell men, well, you guys are the bad guys for sleeping around. And the men get to like 22, they look for a wife. None of the women want to be wives. They don't want to marry them. And so you're saying, okay, don't have sex till what, they're 30?
Yeah.
Good luck.
This
Yeah.
is
Well,
another
tough
big
sell.
problem, right?
Tough
With the,
sell.
with the trad con right, the Christian right, telling everybody, well, men and women both should be virgins until they get married. It's like, but people don't get married till 30, 31.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's women. And that's women.
here's
picking it.
here's the other big thing we need to think about. Women, even good Christian virtuous women, don't want virgin men. I wish they did, but they don't. If a man makes it to 25 as a virgin, even like the really nice girls at church generally don't want him. They still want the player, the guy that has experience, because the other women.
I think this is something that doesn't get talked about. I'll let her finish. But
It's like a signal we send to each other as women that he's successful, he's worthwhile because all the other women want him
Well,
too.
I don't think it's that Christian women don't want
Okay. So another thing is he's successful, he's worth it, blah blah blah. It's also, I think, deep down a safety mechanism. Okay. I think that's what it also is. It's a safety mechanism. Is women like oh, well, he can get a girl. Okay, he's able to talk to, charm, date, have sex with a girl. So to some degree, he's a good bet on someone that's not going to be a fucking serial killer or something like that. So I think also everything they say is accurate. Of course, everything Rachel just said was accurate, but it also ends up being something to the kin of what's the word I'm looking for? It also ends up being the fuck am I fucking thinking of? I can't remember. But anyways, it's also a safety mechanism where they're like, okay, look, this guy can charm women. You can talk to them. He can get them to come home with him, and they're alive. And I think it's also in deep part a safety mechanism. Like this is a guy who can actually talk to women. He doesn't cut them up. He doesn't doing anything weird to them. He just ends up dating them, and they survive in the end. So I think that's also a part of it as well.
virgin men. Christian women want men who are highly sought after by other women. So what you would want is
So they don't want virgin men because, like Rachel just said, even Christian women don't want virgin guys. So yeah, if you're highly sought after, you don't want a virgin guy.
like the Chad, like Deus Vult, kind of Knights Templar Christian guy with a big jaw, who's literally like, he has all these women and he's just like stoically trying to push them away, but he manages to like succumb to your
Good
temptation.
luck.
I think that worked when we all got married at 18 or 20.
Yeah,
I
that
think
is
that
literally,
worked,
like,
but it's
the
not gonna,
fantasy.
if you're telling all the women that you must, and this is what happened to me, right? I was a smart kid. I was always in like advanced classes, and it was like, I'm going to college. I was told from kindergarten, you're going to college, you're going to have a career. And when I decided I didn't want to do that, and I had my first child at 20, everyone around me, even my Christian conservative women around me who should have been supportive, were like, oh no, what a tragedy. Rachel will never be anything. Her life is over. She's a loser now. She's never going to do anything with all of her gifts because she's just a mom. And this is the overwhelming propaganda that we've had for like 60 years now, telling women, young girls, if you want to be a good girl and be successful, focus on school, go to college, even if that means the average woman graduates with 40,000 in debt, and then spend your 20s building your career so that, because why? Because you're vulnerable if you don't have your own money. If you depend on your husband for income, that makes you vulnerable to abuse, and you should be scared.
We also have to look at what women choose and want to do. We have the freedom to do anything that we want.
That's
and
true.
Unfortunately, women are picking to be whores. Like
Well,
that's
another-
and under 35, and people will dispute what exactly the number is. But anecdotally interview, I would say roughly a quarter of women have done some sort of sex work, whether it's escorting.
That seems high.
And there's more OnlyFans models than teachers right now. They tried to community note to me on this, but I have it. Dr. David Baker, you can look it up. And this is
But
and
the thing with
the thing is,
OnlyFans
and what you'll find
worldwide.
with a lot of female stats is stats that make women look bad are always it's always under exaggerated how bad women are. Like, for example, the CDC says the average body count is 5 to 8 for women. But if I survey men and say 5 to 8, they're like, that would be a miracle. And it's like, if you survey 1,000 people and you're actually in the field getting feedback from people, it's a different picture.
But I feel like there is selection bias there, right? Because there's statisticians,
No.
there's an entire, absolutely.
Oh, sorry, I thought you meant for me. Keep going.
Oh, no.
Sorry, I'm listening.
Statisticians, like trying to get a sample that's actually representative of the general population is something that people spend, like Scott Rasmussen has made an entire career, launched several companies over his ability to accurately sample. So, I mean, I'm not saying that there aren't areas like London, Miami, where absolutely girls are talking about like 10 to 15, and that's just seen as the norm. But I don't think it's fair to kind of extrapolate that to also like this small rural Midwestern town.
But
It's
even so, the issue that you're going to get, especially with younger women now, is that they're moving to the big cities. Like, I had a chick on my show. She was a virgin from the middle of nowhere. Do you know where she lives now?
London?
Miami.
The worst place.
Oh, no.
I like her. No offense. If you're watching this, no offense. But it's like she's doing the same moves that even more promiscuous women would. And she was the only out of 1,000 women. I think I believed maybe 2 that they were virgins.
Mhm.
Well,
Maybe
Pearl, when
2,
you say
yeah.
that women we've had the choice for over 100 years, we have
Yeah.
to do what we want, even aside from sex work. If you look at the top 20 most commonly held careers in 2020 versus 1920, they are almost the same for women.
Yeah.
The only thing that changed, that was a big change, was we swapped out farm labor for HR work.
But
Other than that, women still
Well, I
are
just think-
secretaries, nurses, teachers, daycare workers,
Yeah.
administrative assistants. We're doing all the same stuff we did
Mhm.
before, only now we get to pay taxes. We have to put our kids in daycare. You pay half what you make to the daycare lady. Just some other random lady's going to raise your kids instead of you. I remember thinking this when I was 20. What a stupid, inefficient system. Who came up with this? Why do I have to bring my baby to some other lady, pay her half what I make so that she can do the job I want to be doing, so I can go to my corporate job and pretend I give a
Yeah.
shit
And like
about it?
serve your corporate boss instead of your husband.
Yeah,
And then
exactly.
I really think that women should pretty much never leave the home. I think when a woman is in the workplace, you have male coworkers,
Yeah.
you build friendships, you're mad at your husband, you want to vent to the people around you. I literally never
your
leave
work
my house.
husband.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
my husband and I are always home. He works from home too. So I'm always with him. I never see anyone else. The only men I see is like men from church, his family, our family. And I'm always with him. And I just think like there's such a gateway for cheating.
Mhm.
Divorce rates will rise. And also when women make their own income, they like feminism tells them you will be unsafe if you don't have your own assets.
Right.
Then they feel more empowered to get divorced.
Mhm.
It's great that I fully rely on my husband to support our family, because what would I do if I wasn't with him? Like, and we're not
Yeah.
married legally. We're married just in the church because the legal system does
Yeah.
affect men.
But
in
the
a terrible way.
the issue we're going to get into is that men are punished for being traditional by the court system.
That is 100% true. That is 100% true. Like, women want these traditional men. They don't want to have to work. They want like maybe a little side hustle. Okay, they want a little side hustle, maybe, where they make it, a couple dollars here and there. But they want the man to pay the majority of the bills. They want that. Okay, you ask any woman, you want the guy to pay the majority of the bills, they're gonna say fucking yes. Even most of the strong, independent women want that shit. All right. But then you'll get into like, if they just, decide to switch up and divorce you afterwards, then you'll get into well, you did this, you did what I want. I don't like you anymore. So now I'm going to punish you for doing what I wanted in the first place. And the courts were like, well, she was the one staying home, you were working. It's like, yeah, because that's what she wanted. Okay. That's what she wanted me to do. She wanted me to work. She didn't want me around and us not having a good living. She wanted to have a good life, and I was providing for that. But instead of, giving guys, praising guys and giving them, kudos for it, we punish them. The court system punish them. They automatically give the woman or the kids to the woman. I don't think it should be that way. Okay, I talked about this yesterday. I think what it should be is we should automatically give it to the men. That way, the woman's free to go and pursue her career, get her money up, so she's able to provide sufficiently without the help of a man. She left, so she wants to be a strong, independent woman, right? And then from there, you gradually move to a 50-50 support where you both pay everything down the middle, right down the middle. Simple. I think that's the way we need to go about it. Or that's the way we should go about it. But the way it goes about it is like, if you do the right thing, like if my wife divorced me, I'm fucked and screwed, all right? She hasn't worked in 2.5 years. Well, 2 years, okay? Odds are she's not going to work for a while, okay? I'm not encouraging her to work because I want her to stay home with the kids because I know that's what's make her happy. But if I get divorced, I'm fucked.
Because the man, if he has a stay-at-home wife, he's more of a target.
True.
And I talked to one of the guys that like calculates child support, and he said if you want to like have the minimal amount of risk, you need to check that earns what you earn. And it does have the problems you described, but I'm saying, if we want traditional outcomes, we have to reward them, and right now we don't.
And that's what sucks because there's pros.
All right, so that's the end of it. I gotta go and do some stuff. Again, I reposted the everything for Rekieta's arraignment. Again, it's supposed to start at 11. 11 Central Time. but there's no order to it at the moment. So you may be sitting there and waiting for a while. It is up to you. Don't know. But yeah, so I'm so pissed off about this whole Rekieta thing. This guy's just poor decisions, poor life choices, and he's hurting his kids. That's it. I'm not going to talk any more about this. I'm over it at this point. I'll pick this up Monday. Reacting to this Monday. I was hoping I was going to finish this today, but it turns out I wasn't. Then this big news dropped, so I don't know. I may talk more about Rekieta on Monday. I'm going to set my computer up to stream the arraignment. So I don't know, and hopefully it won't be necessary, and someone else will do it for me because I'm lazy. But I'll set it up to stream it at least. But yeah, I hope you have a good day. Make sure you follow my links and everything. I hope you have a good day. Peace out, and I will see you tomorrow. Peace.